Hello everybody, Mac here. Welcome back to the show. What we have today is a personal favorite of mine. It is something that I wasn't expecting. It is Diamond Select Maximilian from the 80s sci-fi movie, The Black Hole. If you don't know what The Black Hole is, I'm not going to go into a great detail about it, but it was basically Disney trying to cash in on the popularity of Star Wars. It was a sci-fi movie, a little bit of a thriller, a little bit of an action movie, well, a lot of an action movie. And it was actually really dark for a Disney movie, even for the 80s. It was actually really dark. Case in point, our boy Maximilian here, who is a big robot, but he's also basically the devil. And if you don't believe me, watch the movie, wait for the end. Like, I'm not saying The Black Hole was some big space epic. It definitely had its faults. It definitely had its lulls in the plot, but I really feel like it's one of those underrated movies. I thought the special effects were pretty good. The ending throws a lot of people. I've always liked it, but Maximilian here makes the movie. He is the right-hand robot of the big villain, Dr. Reinhardt, and I don't want to spoil anything. Let's just take a look at this. First of all, we have our standard Diamond Select packaging that I feel like it's not even fitting all on camera. And I've done Diamond and Marvel Select figures before. I feel like this is much bigger than the standard Diamond Select. You can see Maximilian taking up all of the space in there. You can see some additional add-ons, some accessories down the side right here. This side, nothing but window. You can see right in. The top and the bottom, nothing but window. On the side, we just have an image of Maximilian. I believe this is the toy right here. I don't think this is like a movie still or anything, but I'm pretty sure this is an image of the toy. On the back here, we have a little bit of a bio for Maximilian right here. We also have Vincent and Bob. I believe this was a 2-pack. These were two other robots. They were basically like R2 knockoffs with guns. I wasn't really concerned about getting these. I mean, these would be cool to get if I could find them, but Maximilian here, this was the one that I was looking for. So if you actually want to read up on this right here, go ahead, pause it, give that a quick read. But what I really want to do is I want to get this open and I want to take a look at them, because truthfully, this is something that I got for Christmas and I'm just getting around to it now. And I'm just amazed that it took me this long. So without further ado, let's get this open and let's take a look at Diamond Select, the Black Hole, Maximilian. Okay, here he is, Maximilian, our devil bot, out of the packaging, and putting the tape measure to him, we can see that he is 8.5 inches tall to the top of his flat top. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is that while this is a very, very big robot figure, he's very light. He's very hollow. And I don't know if I was expecting him to be like a completely solid piece of plastic, but he's just much lighter than what I was expecting. Even when he was in the packaging, it felt like there was going to be more weight to him than what there is. But he's actually a very light figure. Having said that, though, look at the size of this guy. This guy has some bulk to him. This guy has some build to him. This guy looks really good. I really like the paint apps, because when they found the Cygnus, the ship that Reinhardt and Maximilian were on, the ship had been in space for a number of years at this point. I can't remember if it was a full decade or not, but it had been in space. It was considered lost, and it was out there for a while. So I like this weathering on Maximilian. Like, he hasn't really been serviced in a long time. He has some damage done to him, maybe a little bit of battle scars. Don't know, but I really like it. He's pretty much uniform, just with some uniform in color, just with some dirt and the occasional silver and the occasional dings on him. But I really like the mold they used. I really like the sculpt on this. I really like the detail on this. I haven't seen the movie in quite some time, so I honestly can't remember if there was more to him than all of this or not. But this is pretty much exactly how I remember him in my head. I would have to see the movie to do a full comparison to see if this is pretty much how he looked. Ah, I just love this guy. I think this looks fantastic. Down to his legs. I really like this. You have like, see, even right here, you have like weathering on like the vents where like, I don't know if this is supposed to be like where the hover engines come out, but then like he has this big booster right in the middle right there, which I can't remember in the movie if he had this or if it was just flat. I almost want to say this was put in for the figure, but I'm not entirely sure. But let's get to the articulation on this guy, such as it is. First of all, his head will do a complete 360 spin, and that's about it. There's no up, there's no down, there's no neck. It's pretty much just a turret on top of his shoulders. Now, his arms right here are interesting, that the arm mechanism will spin like so. And each armature has 2 points of articulation. It has the shoulder and it has the elbow, and that's about it. The disappointing part is that for a number of these, this shoulder connection right here is very loose. And when I was playing around with him and posing him, on occasion these things would just fall on their own. Not all of them are like that, but there are enough. And unfortunately, it also tends to be these ones with the claw attachment, which we'll take a look at in a second, and you'll see why I say unfortunately. Now, he also has a waist twist right here, but to utilize that, it's kind of tricky because you have to get all of his arm appendages out of the way so that he can do a full spin like that. And that's it. There's no crunch. There's no side to side. He just spins. But he's a big robot. What do you expect? His, for lack of a better term, legs right here will also come up. They'll come out to a full 90, which is interesting because I don't remember them doing anything like this in the movie. I don't know if they were supposed to do this or if Diamond just put it in there for another point of articulation. And also these flaps right here will move up and down. But that's, for the most part in the movie, they were always just down like this. And also going back to this one is a little loose, that it doesn't always, see, it doesn't always want to hold position very well. So that's a little disappointing. This one's loose, but it's not nearly a deal breaker for me because they were always going to be in the down position anyway. So we have some really cool accessories right here in bright silver. We have this open claw accessory, which I'll show you where this goes in a second. But in addition to those, we also have 2 of these attachments to put on his arms, which are basically like spinning claw accessories made to look like he's just whirling them around. Now, where these go is if we bring the figure in, you can see that he has like these closed claws right here. And these just pop off, and then you can put one, you can just pop that on there. And basically in the movie, he would just whirl these things around and just Ginsu people with them. Now, if I remember correctly, he threatened a lot of people, but he really only chopped up one person once. And see what I mean? That's what I mean. The elbow extension is, the elbow on this one is really loose. So he doesn't hold this up very well. But yeah, in the movie, he basically whirled these things around and just Ginsu'd people with them. It was brutal. Like I said, very dark for a Disney movie. I think they only did one person like that. I'm pretty sure Norman Bates was the one that they got. And yeah, I mean Norman Bates. He was in the movie. That's really bothering me. I'm going to have to do something to tighten that shoulder joint up. But, oh, that looks so good, though. Oh, he was a freaking terror in that movie, and I loved it. Another effect we get are these really cool, like, electricity effects. And I like how the translucent blue gives way to this translucent white up here. And it makes them look very dynamic. They look really good. I just don't know what these are supposed to represent. Now, as far as I can figure, because one of them in the package was on one of his blaster appendages right here. And I don't know if this is how they're supposed to go, because there was a scene, possible spoiler alert here, there was a scene where Maximilian is taking on Vincent, and he uses these appendages and sort of traps the smaller droid between them, and starts like basically like trying to overload him, pumping energy into him. And there are some blue effects around these appendages whenever he is like basically trying to override Vincent or overload Vincent. But I don't remember them. They weren't quite exactly this much. It was the very early 80s. It was just like maybe some blue lines. It wasn't anything quite this dynamic. But if that's what these are supposed to be, that's really cool. I can deal with that. But we do have these. One of them stays on much better than the other one does. Because these, I mean, these could even be used for other figures and things. Like, this is really cool. These energy blast effects right here. So, yeah, like I said, I don't know if that's what these are supposed to represent. And this one doesn't stay on very well. This one stays on fairly well. But we do have these. that just looks cool. That just really looks cool. Now, something else that we have is we have another head for him. And once again, possible spoiler alert if you plan on watching the movie, you can see that, let's focus this in. You can see there are eyes peering out from under the visor. Whereas the standard one, it's just a red visor. This one has human eyes peering out from underneath it. That this is from that moment, that hallucination, that abstract scene at the end when Reinhardt is... I'm still not entirely convinced whether Reinhardt and Maximilian sort of form and become one, or if Reinhardt becomes trapped in Maximilian. Like I said, very dark for a Disney movie. But Maximilian's head just pops right off. It's just on a peg right there. You have a peg hole, and then you can pop this one in, and there you go. Reinhardt's trapped in there. Now, the only issue I have with this, and let's zoom in a little bit for this. The only issue I have with this is that this is like a very flat effect. Like, it's very obvious they just took one of the heads, opened it up, and just put like a piece of plastic or something with a print on it. That it's not really that there's another head inside there. Like, you can see that the proportions are very exaggerated and very flat against the visor, whereas in the movie, when you looked in the visor, you could actually see Reinhardt's head in there. You could see him looking through the visor. I believe you could even see him moving his head around inside Maximilian, whereas this kind of looks like he's just wearing power armor. I appreciate that we got it, though. I just think they could have done a better job with that. Something else that we get is this big figure stand where it's basically just in two pieces. It's a black base with this peg right there. You just put the peg right on top, and then Maximilian just sits right on the stem like that. And it gives him, it's leaning a little, and it gives him that illusion of levitating off the ground. Also adds to his height very much. As you can see, he no longer really fits. Can we zoom out? And there we go. When he's on the figure stand, let's do this now. When he's on the figure stand, he comes up to a full 10 inches. So that gives him quite some height when he's on there. Now, the last thing that we have is this two-piece diorama piece where this is a portion of a wall or a computer console, and this is basically just a piece of cardboard. This is what the computer console, what the monitors looked like on the Cygnus. Very 80s, very Star Trek. Nothing really displayed here, just a bunch of bright lights. It has two sides, so you have this side as a possibility, and you have this side as a possibility. You can choose which either you wanted. And then this just fits right in the top there, and that sort of becomes like a computer console wall from the Cigna. The only problem is you can see that it has tabs right here, but it has nothing to tab into. And the reason for that is, and this is where they get you, that if you look at the back of the packaging, oh, let's tilt this up. If you look at the back of the packaging, you can see right here that this and this are the same thing, but it also looks like maybe you're supposed to turn this on its side to get everything on there. I don't know. Or they just have different graphics. Or they just have different graphics for up here. But you can see where this tabs in at. You can see that there's another piece right there that you get pretty much with Bob and Vincent. So if you want the full diorama piece, you have to get Max, and you have to get Bob and Vincent as well. And now for size comparisons, here he is beside Hasbro G.I. Joe Classified Series, Crimson Bat, and Destro. And here he is beside McFarlane Toys, Warhammer 40K, I think that's the Dark Angel Space Marine, and Jazzware's Spartan Collection Master Chief from Halo 2. Here he is beside McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Collect to Build Red Lantern Atrocitus, and McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Superman from Action Comics 1000. Here he is beside Lanyard Toys City Hunter Predator and Xenomorph Drone. Here he is beside Mattel Masters of the Universe Masterverse He-Man 40th Anniversary Edition and Masters of the Universe movie Skeletor. And finally, here he is beside NECA Toys Dungeons & Dragons Warduke and Grimsword. And you know how much Grimsword usually dwarfs other figures, so that should give you an idea of how big Maximilian is. So I'm not going to feed you another, oh man, I love this figure speech. I think it's pretty obvious that I really like this figure, mainly because I really liked the movie. I was a fan of it as a kid. I'm still a fan of it. However, if you don't have a connection to the movie The Black Hole, honestly, there may not be much here for you. Maximilian looks good. I think the paint apps are really good. I like the weathering. I like the wear and tear on him. But a lot of what makes him appealing is the character that he was in the movie. Especially when you consider that there's not even a whole lot of articulation to this figure. Like, the waist moves, the waist pivots, but unless you get the arms up out of the way, it doesn't really do much of anything. The same thing with those leg flaps. Unless you move the arms to certain positions, the leg flaps won't come up easily to the sides. Plus, I don't remember those moving at all in the movie. Like, I appreciate that the articulation is there. I appreciate that Diamond went ahead and put it there, but I don't really think it's going to serve much purpose. Also, for as much as I like the second head with Reinhardt's eyes behind the visor, if you haven't seen the movie and you haven't seen that scene specifically, you may not get why that's there. It may not mean much to you. Like, I appreciate that they gave us that head sculpt, or that they gave us that second head with Reinhardt's eyes behind it. I think they could have done it better. But otherwise, if you don't know what that reference is, it may just look like there's some dude in like a power armor suit, which that may be your thing. I just don't think you'll get like what makes that chilling. And as far as the articulation that it does have, specifically like the 6 arms on it, that's really the only like dynamic thing that you can do, that and turning the head. And the arms have those weak shoulders, which is very disappointing because, as you saw, until you do something to like sort of tighten that up, the arms are just going to keep falling when you put those heavy accessories, those whirly blades on the end, which is such a shame. The other accessories that it comes with, the translucent blue-white energy effects, lightning effects, whatever you want to call them, I think those look really cool too. I just wish I knew exactly what those were supposed to be. I think that is supposed to be in reference to when he was juicing Vincent, but I'm not entirely sure. For the size of him, I mean, you saw how he looked against Grimsword, you saw how he looked against McFarlane's 40K figures. For the size of him, 7-inch figures are definitely the correct scale for Maximilian. However, I kind of like the oversized bulk he has compared to the 6-inch figures, and I'm thinking I'm going to put him in with my G.I. Joe collection. That, like, he'll be some creation of Mindbender or Destro that is, like, leading legions of bats into battle or something like that. Not entirely sure yet, but I kind of really like that idea. Or he could easily fit into the DC line, my McFarlane DC line, that he could be some creation of Lex to try and take down Superman. Or he could be something from Apocalypse. That would be real cool, like an Apocalypse war droid or something. War robot. That would be really cool too. So as I said, as a fan of the movie, I really like this. I think it's pretty well done, but if you're not a fan of the movie, if you don't have any connection to this, there may not be much here for you. I know we still got a lot of DC, and we even have some G.I. Joes that we need to take a look at, but I wanted to take a break from that, and I wanted to get this guy open, show him off, play around with him. So, until next time, my friends, play well, stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, thank you for watching.